welcome back to a TFC 2025 GE special. I'm your host Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut, and this is the last day.
Yay!
Oh my goodness! Finally, right? So, if I am dying, I'm sure a lot of political candidates are struggling. Right? So it's been a long run, and thank you for tuning in with us. I'm very happy to be able to touch on all the policies and different categories, and I think we're the only podcast that really spend a lot of effort on policies, and never gossip about oh, this person say what, that thing, all that, right? So it's very hard work because you gotta read, you gotta force everybody to come on the show to read, So thank you for supporting. We appreciate that. But that being said, today is the last day, so we try to do something different. Okay, so later, the second half of today, we will do the fun one, right? We will do the what do you think? Who is the best speaker? Who's the worst? Who's the underdog? All those fun things. We'll leave it to the end. But in the start of today's podcast, I would like to lend my voice, the platform, and hold space for an important issue. Honestly, I never thought it would be an issue, right? I don't know what suddenly happened in the political arena of this campaign, and suddenly race politics become like a front and center. Like, it's to a point where our Prime Minister had to stop the whole thing and then do a conference. Then I also very lost exactly what's going on. So my take is, I think it is a good opportunity to then let's talk about it, right? So what does especially our Malay Muslim friends, what is race politics to them, and what's the aspirations and that whole thing, right? So for me, I'm here to hold space, right? And I think I have a little bit of a basis to talk because I've spent many years in KL, right? And in Malaysia, Bumi Putra is the fundamental of the land, right? So to me, that is race politics, right? That is the most, cannot call it intense, but that is like the platform, right? Full on, right? From university reservations to land plot, to everything from work jobs and everything, it's really tied to some sort of race politics in my point of view, right? So I would love to get some friends in studio. Like, we don't need to be too solemn about this, right? But it's a good discussion to chat a little bit about this broad idea. Okay, so Yuli, Nizam, Amir, for our audience that don't know you, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Juliana, and I was here a few days ago, but I'm back again. And this is my niche.
I know. That's why first thing I was like, hey, you want to talk, right? Okay, come.
Yes. So I'm the founder of Lepak Conversations, and basically we try to make conversations about Malay Muslim social issues accessible, and we do that on Instagram and also in-person events. That's what we do.
Okay, awesome. And Nizam, for our audience that don't know you, it's your first time here with
Sure.
us.
Thanks, Reggie, for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Nizam Ismail. I have a day job as a consultant, but I feel strongly about, generally about talking about critical issues affecting Singaporeans. So I'm a co-founder of a page on Facebook called Suara Melayu Singapura, the voice of Malay Singaporeans. We also started a podcast platform called Wicara, which is on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah. Had some good traction, although you just started.
Yeah, we did this at the last GE, but this time we're doing things a little bit more differently.
Okay.
And yeah, very, very happy with the response we got so far.
Okay, great. And Amir, for audience that don't know you.
Hi everyone, my name is Amir, and I'm the co-founder and the main host for the Golden Nuggets podcast. Yes. Do I need to share more?
Up to you. It's your prerogative. You can share.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I thought it was it.
So, do I need to say more? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay. So thank you all for coming on this podcast to do a topic that I don't always do. In fact, I usually stay quite far away from how do I put this, more socially driven type of topics. Right? We are very famous for doing all the business, finance, those kind of very technical money topic, but I think it's a good opportunity, right? So just to lay the ground, maybe one of you can help me understand what happened, right? What brought about this whole thing, Nizam, maybe?
Yeah, sure, I can give it a crack. I think before that, the Malays in Singapore, we want to find our pride of place in Singapore, and I think as we are very segan, we are very shy of asserting our position as Malays, even though the Malays are the natives of the land, but you don't find that kind of statements being made. Now, coming back to these elections, so by and large, I think the Malays see themselves as Singaporeans. Although when you look at the election systems, the idea of GRCs, you have minority candidates in various GRCs. That's a separate topic altogether. But in these elections, what happened was this. The PAP seems to have raised, in very stern terms, don't mix religion and politics. And this is what happened. What happened was the Workers' Party candidate for Tampines, Mr. Faisal Manap, he met a couple of religious teachers, asatizas, including a person called Nur Deros, who is not an accredited religious teacher. He's based in Malaysia. And the statement that suddenly came from the ruling party was, there was a meeting that Mr. Faisal Manap had with this group of religious teachers, including Nur Deros, and they conflated this with a bunch of other things. Some commentaries from someone from PAS in Malaysia, and also a commentary made by a Singaporean, an ex-Singaporean now based in Australia. And it was all conflated, and the message is, you're playing a dangerous game when you want to mix politics and religion. And then you see Lawrence Wong stopping his campaign trails, making a statement that I'm talking to you as Singaporeans, don't mix politics and religion. That's one. Second, Senior Minister Lee Hsien Loong then also made a very tersely worded statement, don't mix politics and religion. But here's the thing, right? I mean, it has caused a lot of concern, consternation from the part of the community, because fundamentally, all Faisal Manap did was to was to meet these people. He never made any promises. That was very clear. Even Nur Deros said the Workers' Party never made any promises. It was just a meeting. In truth, the ruling PAP MPs meet religious communities all the time. There is nothing wrong with that. I mean, in truth, for a lot of Malays in Singapore who are Muslims, religion is a way of life, and it's very hard to split these issues sometimes. So that's one. The other thing is this. Just barely days after this whole issue blew up, you find Ong Ye Kang, who is a candidate of the PAP in the North, making a statement.
I love how there is a North. There's a North in Singapore. But
we try to imagine that we are bigger than what we actually are. So it's a fiction that we try to imagine. That so he actually made a statement. There is this nice old mosque in Sembawang called Masjid Tempatan Melayu. So he made a statement that if I'm elected, I will make sure that we will preserve the mosque.
That is in some ways mixing religion.
Oh, that's directly mixing religion and politics. Right? You're making a promise to the Muslims, I will keep your mosque. And then this was splashed in Berita Harian, the Malay newspaper, and in Berita Mediacorp, the broadcast channel. So that's one. Two, just last night, Mariam Jaafar, who's also a candidate in the North, I think it's Woodlands, she made a statement that, again, if I'm elected, I will have bursaries for lower income families. And she especially highlighted this. She said, including madrasah students. So madrasah Islamic schools. So that's one. And then she said we will also set up Karya groups. So Karya groups are socio-religious groups, small communities that organize all kinds of events for the local communities. Now, aren't those two instances mixing politics and religion? So my point is, there's probably nothing wrong in making those statements per se, but don't come and say that this particular behavior is mixing politics and religion, and these two sets of behavior are not, because fundamentally they're the same.
But okay, maybe let me just try to kind of push that a little bit, right? So social community groups is everywhere, right? In Singapore, people coalesce for all sorts of reasons, right? Can be religious, and there are a lot of religious communities that coalesce around religion, right? So it's not like unique to Malay Muslims, right? And then when it comes to like preserving the mosque, actually there's also a lot of other religious buildings all around, and I don't see us thinking of those things as religious. You know what I mean? Like temple or church, all that is like is there lah, right? So there is the spiritual element of it, and of course it's a religion, and but is that really race politics? Is that you know what I mean? Is that the line that we're gonna draw? Like, so to me, this line is very shallow. Like that is race politics already. Because like I said, I stay in KL, right? And PAS is in the north, right? Like the real north in Terengganu, Kelantan, right? They haven't even found ground in Selangor. That's a different story anyway. But, you know, like that is very race politics, you know, in Malaysia. Is this, like in Singapore, is this what we're going to conclude as race politics? You know what I mean?
No, what I'm saying is that that should be permissible conversations.
Yeah.
The three actions, Faisal Ahmad meeting a group of religious teachers and not making any promises, the issue of preservation of the mosque, and setting up career groups. My point is, those are normal conversations, and that you can't single out one act as being racial politics and not the other two.
Okay.
So there has to be a consistency in terms of treatment. You know, fundamentally, it's just, some people read it as you making a personal attack on Faisal Manap.
Yeah.
And painting him as some form of a religious or over-religious person, so that they want to taint that image of him. But I don't think that was the intention.
Okay, fair. Any thoughts?
I think to set the context, the line does get quite blurry because MUIS, which is the Religious Council in Singapore, is the government body, and we do have an appointed Minister for Muslim Affairs, and that's probably a result of Article 152, which recognises that Malays are native to Singapore. So the
I
line.
didn't even know there was such an article.
Yes, so
until we were about to start recording. Yes.
So that is an important point, right? So these bodies were set up to recognise the special privileges of Malays in Singapore, but then there's this irony of, let's not mix race and politics. Let's not mix religion and politics, but the system, the structure is already there. I think if I go back earlier to nomination day, there were already murmurings of this race politics, precisely when Workers' Party was announced to be contesting in Tampines, and immediately people saw that it was a 1v1 between Masagos and Faisal, right? So, and the reason why this is important, especially to the Malay Muslim community, the first thing that went to their mind is the Tudong debate between Masagos and Faisal. And this was in 2017, still very fresh on people's minds, because they felt like perhaps Faisal represented the community's voice better than Masagos did, and Masagos, as the Minister for Muslim Affairs, I think, did not represent the community's views as well. So there was already this 1v1 pitting each other lah. So I think this kind of framing among the community is quite normal lah, right? We as humans we tend to label things and want to identify things a certain way, but I think community leaders like perhaps myself and even Prof. Walid has gone on different podcasts to say that we want to avoid framing it as a voters issue, Malay voters issue, because the other point is that in Tampines, Malay voters are a significant number, almost 25%, which is one of the highest percentage of Malay voters in the constituency. But then the point is that what about the 75% of voters who are not Malay Muslims, right? What are they going to think if they see this is a 1v1 between two Malay MPs? Like, that's not the case. I think both MPs, both Faisal and both Masagos are able to give airtime to all residents. Like, it's a fair race. It's not just no pun intended. It's a fair race, but it's not race politics lah. Yeah, but unfortunately, it has turned into this situation where it was explicitly mentioned, like, let's not mix race and politics. Yeah.
Okay. Any thoughts?
I think before we should discuss this further, the best thing is actually to define what is race politics, right? Because if we do not define what is race politics, then, like just now, Nizam mentioned, the 3X, is that really considered as race politics? No? If it's not well defined, then yeah, that is like you mentioned, it's just like normal coffee shop talk, or like normal conversations. So I think like to really move forward, we need to first define, okay, what is race politics, and then the next step is, once we have defined this, then we need to see like, okay, how can we actually position the conversation better in terms of whether this is a race politics or not, and also how can the candidates actually say that okay, this act or whichever act is something permissible or not. Because if it is race politics or not, then they should be. If it's not clearly defined, they won't know what is mixing race with the entire politics and all.
Okay, can I get you to explain permissibility? So
Okay.
this is not amongst the Malay Muslim, everybody know, right? But for the wider audience, I'm very sure most people don't understand this concept.
Okay, so permissible means it's something that can be done, or it's something that is wrong to be doing it.
Like whether it's a hard line or
Yes,
debatable,
correct.
like-
Yeah. So like because at the start with this whole saga, right? I think I think our PM actually mentioned that do not mix these two, right? So if we do not mix these two, the question is what is actually right and what is actually wrong. If it's not clear, then this shouldn't even be a conversation. Yeah, but it's because it is actually not clear. That's the reason why we are having this conversation.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
So Nizam, you want to take a jab at this? What is race politics to you in Singapore?
I don't know. I don't think it has anything. I think what you say is a good point. And I think is, it shouldn't be the case that I'm allowed to say that's racial politics when it suits me.
Yeah.
And then say that's not racial politics when my guys are doing it, right? That should not be the case. But that's what I see as happening, right? Because, even the Tudong issue when it came out, right? Is that racial politics?
Yeah.
It's really the assertion, it's about, advocating for the rights of the women that want to put on the tudong within the community. They should be given the right. In as much as if you're a Sikh, you have the right to put on your turbans, right? Or your any other communities for that matter. So it's how you slice and dice or how you define the issue. But I think we should come to a stage where you should be able to discuss these things openly. That's probably better, because when you don't do that, and the critique on the tudong issue is this, because it has been brewing for, God, I don't know how long, probably more than 20 years. And the response by the government then was that this is a sensitive issue. We shouldn't be discussing this. We will discuss this behind curtains or in closed doors. And that wasn't always satisfactory, because when there is no progress, the community will feel, wait a minute, have you forgotten about this issue? What's going on? So there's no transparency. And when there's no transparency, there's no accountability. So I am in favor of having, I think we are all adult enough. Singapore as a society is adult enough to have those kind of open conversations. There is this space, and I don't think putting on a tudong, intrudes on the space of other communities. So that's it. So
No, and I, before coming in, I did spend a lot of time thinking about like how do you frame this, right? Where's the line, right? So exactly like what you said, the tudong issue, right? For me, if something is just community, like very spiritual and community driven, that does not, like, allowing you to practice what you want does not infringe on my rights, right? Then that's okay, what?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the basis of a multicultural society, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like the Chinese people on the 7th month like to burn the incense thing, right? So, and the Malay community confirm like, okay, tahan lah, right? Just accept lah, right? Because this is people's way of life. In fact, the burning probably affects everyone a bit more because it's burning, right? I mean, we're trying to catch secondhand smoke, right? So but anyway, I'm not for catching secondhand smoke, because I think it's really getting too near the line of like your personal space and everything, because people are looking at going like right at your house already, So I think that's a bit much, but that's a different discussion. But I do think that, from a Chinese individual, I look at it as like, as long as you practice your cultural, rights, and you just do it and it doesn't affect me, then I don't see it as race politics. I just see it as it's just a community wanting to express themselves. Right? I don't know if that's a fair statement.
I mean, I think that's fair, but unfortunately, the government, their response will be, oh, if you ask for this, then the community will ask something else for their community. So it's like a, I don't know, it's like a give and take. Like if I give you one, I must give every other community one thing. But I think it's different. There are nuances to this lah.
Yeah.
Minority communities might have more needs simply because they have less resources and so on. So that's the issue. But I think I wanted to talk more about the framing, and I think when Lepak Conversations did our advocacy on this,
So you
creating
guys also
space.
chimed in the tudong
Yes,
issue.
correct.
Okay.
So we talking about opening up the space for conversation, right? What we did was we viewed it very objectively, because I like what Nizam said, right? So it's always seen as a sensitive issue, emotional issue. But then when we bring out the records, right, we say in Parliament this is what was said, this was what was debated, these are the sequence of events, and then we put it up on Instagram, and it kind of went viral, and it reached beyond the Malay community. And that was when non-Malay Muslims were very shocked. They were like, I did not know this was happening in the community. This sounds very, very serious. And I think the biggest impact that was that when we collected a lot of anonymous stories from Muslim women, and it was a very wide range. So I think the youngest we had was someone who said that she graduated from secondary school, waiting to enter poly, wants to take on a factory packing job, but was denied the job because she did not want to take off the tudong. And usually when employers ask you to take off the tudong, there's some safety issue or some hygiene issue, but this was just a packing job. There's no safety issue, so it's a bit unwarranted. So we had another story where this lady, I think she studied all the way up to PhD, but a certain organization did not want to hire her because she wanted to wear the tudong. And there was another senior nurse who was just stuck at one place because she couldn't move anywhere else in healthcare that would accept her wearing the tudong. So there's this whole diversity of someone who's so young, and also someone who's worked her way all the way up to a PhD, and she still is being denied job opportunities. So the framing then turned from it being a race issue or a gender issue to this is people's livelihoods are being affected. So I think that reframing is very helpful instead of always focusing on race, because to us, I mean, I'm a woman wearing a tudong, right? Like, it's not about my race. It's just that I have so many friends who are fearful of applying to a job because the first thing that comes to their mind is like, what if I'm the only tudong wearing woman over there? What if I'm the only minority over there? These are very real concerns that they have, because it's so normal to expect being denied job opportunities. It's so normal to expect being the only minority, where I think I have this personal experience as well. Like, I think my whole life I was just a kid lah, and then it was only when I entered the workforce, then suddenly my minority became my minorityness, my Malayness, my Muslimness became the first identity
marker.
Yeah, that people saw me for, which was quite shocking to me. I was like, oh, suddenly people automatically start talking to me in Malay instead of English, So it's interesting how we perceive people and the labels we put on them. Like, it does seem that as a minority, your race becomes the most apparent thing to people. Yeah.
Fair. Anything you want to say something, Amir?
No. So I wanted to say that with regards to defining what is race politics, right? If let's say we hold our national anthem true, regardless of race, language, and religion, then why is this even an issue? Yes, it is an issue because like over time, it really affects people's livelihood, right? And it's in the masses. That's the reason why it should be brought up to Parliament. But if these are the things that is being brought up to Parliament, why like mixing religion or race into their campaign, why is it wrong? Yeah, so to me, that's why like we need to have a proper definition of this before we can actually say you are doing something right, you are doing something wrong.
Yeah. But to be fair, I don't think there's any party manifesto that has a religious element.
Yes,
front and
because
center.
to us, we all really don't see this as really much of an issue because we are like a multicultural country, right?
Yeah.
So we really don't really see this as an issue. So to be pointing that out during the rallies, right? I think that is ridiculous, lah. Yeah.
Okay, fair. But that being said, although all the parties didn't have any clear religious slant in their value proposition or in their value proposition in their manifesto macam value proposition. So in their manifesto there's nothing, but there is one thing which is in Workers' Party's manifesto, right, which is the recognition of Palestine, as part of the two-state solution, and I think that in some ways also kind of contribute to the politicking of this element lah, right? I don't know if that's a fair statement. Any thoughts on that front? So, Nizam got a lot to say.
No, I think Gerald Giam explained, and he explained it very well, that this was a humanitarian issue. And I think it's a humanitarian issue that, this is a genocide at work. It's genocide that's happening live. And of course, the Muslim communities are, very upset because we believe in the concept of an ummah, which is, these are our fellow Muslims who are being persecuted in Gaza. So there's an emotive element. I will not deny that. But at the heart of it, it is a humanitarian issue. It is a crisis that the world should be reacting to. I don't think we should be apologetic for it. Right? If you accept that we are, and with globalization, all these issues that happen in other parts of the world have an impact here. I think it wasn't inappropriate for that to be in the WPA manifesto.
Okay, fair. Any thoughts? I think you guys run quite a few conversations
Yes, we
during
do.
that period.
Yeah. So I think for us, we are very insistent on debunking that this is a Muslim issue, right? And on the ground, I would say even among pro-Palestinian advocates or even regular Singaporeans who care about this, they all think it's a humanitarian issue. It's not a religious issue. And we've seen, especially because the genocide is happening so openly on social media, a lot of non-Muslims are finally, I guess, exposed to it, right? Otherwise, they might be sheltered from it. They might not know that it's happening. But because social media has shown it so openly, and then they open their eyes to the issue, and they're like, they can see that it's a humanitarian issue that needs stopping, it needs support. But I think my issue is on the ground, it's framed as humanitarian. But I do notice that I think the messaging, for example, when the police will, they said that the police will not accept any permits to conduct a rally at Hong Lim Park. The rationale behind it is, it might visually look like a Muslim majority, and that might jeopardize our harmony.
That's a reason.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So there's already.
I wasn't aware also. So.
I have no clue. But I mean, she's front and center.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I have heard. That's what I've been told. Right. That is that visual representation. If it's majority Muslim or brown people, then people might form perceptions that it's a Muslim issue lah. But that's denying people from even practicing their right to support the cause in the first place. We pushed back against this, and I think we're very thankful that we got to work with REACH, which is the government's feedback arm.
There's some cool people in REACH.
Yes. So their KPI, standard lah. Okay, we want X number of people, but our KPI was we want to make sure that there's diversity in the audience. So we were very intentional in our messaging, saying that, this is for those who are not sure about the issue or you don't know where to start. We also told people, please bring your friends, because this is meant to be for everyone. This is not just for those who support the cause. So I think we're quite proud, if based on what we could see, based on what we could measure, it did seem like it was a 50% Malay Muslim, 50% others. So to me, that is a win, right? It shows that it's not a majority Muslim issue. So I think that was a successful event in signalling to the government that this is not, we should stop framing it as a religious issue. We should see it as a humanitarian issue, and all Singaporeans should care about it. And I think I've seen also some CC or RC did backing for humanitarian aid, and they called different religious leaders. So that is good, getting everyone together, but why specifically call religious leaders if you don't want to frame it as a religious issue? Right? So that's just something that I observed lah. Yeah.
You see, it's so hard to draw the line, right?
Yes, precisely.
There's so many things that it's like,
exactly.
how you splice and dice.
Yeah. The thing about drawing lines, the line is an artificial line. There's no science that you set it here, or here.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people disagree on when the lines are going to be set. So that's the difficulty of drawing lines. So I'm really in favor of having very open conversations.
I think it's the idea of an informed citizenry. Right? We need to learn and not just hide behind lines and curtains and actually just talk about it. Yeah.
I mean, there's a deeper issue you mentioned citizenry, right? I mean, many years ago, there was this concept of an active citizenry that was first touted. and the importance of civil society. You know, George Yeo made this very famous speech where he said that essentially that you must trim the big banyan tree if you want, you know, civil society to start growing and sprouting. You must trim the big banyan tree that is the government, and actually facilitating that. So I think that was a very powerful statement. Unfortunately, he was in Aljunied in 2011, and that concept sort of died. But I think it's very powerful, and it's worth revisiting that, because I think you are seeing that, right? I mean, this conversation that we're having right now, you know, podcasts, and I'm standing, you know, between two persons who are very involved in this community. This wouldn't have been possible many years ago, where you have these very free and open discussions on issues which 10, 20 years ago were deemed to be sensitive. Yep. This would never have happened in the past, right? I mean, I'm probably slightly older than, I'm just a little bit. Yeah, so it's a good development, and I think that's the wave of openness, democratization, and at the same time, on the flip side, accountability on those people who are elected.
Okay, okay, fair. So let's push the conversation a little bit, right, into, I think, a little bit of the aspirations of the Malay Muslim community. I mean, I don't want to say it's minority because it's a very clear minority group. There are other minority groups in Singapore that we can always have another conversation in the future, you know, but I do think it's a good opportunity to then try to understand, you know, the mind frame of the Malay Muslim individual in Singapore. Right, and then like what's the aspirations, right? Then we can contribute that to the wider conversation, right? Because the lived experience of different people will be drastically different. And as somebody that lived in Malaysia, I can tell you I kind of understand the kind of minority energy, you know, as a Chinese that stayed there. You know, I wasn't born there, so I'm not overly entrenched in their tussle. I think that's a fair word, but as a person there, got difference, right? So would like to understand your life experience and your aspirations, and you know, I know we are not fully representative of the community either, right? Yeah, relax in the comment section, you know, but just would like to hear some thoughts here.
I think just linking back to what Nizam said about the banyan tree and also the GE, right? The candidate that stood out to me the most was Alia Mata from Workers' Party.
I know, I texted you.
yes, you were the one who texted me. I was like, wow.
Watch this. I was like,
Yeah, so I was like, and what really touched me about her story was she was saying that she was unsatisfied when her child came home and said that MOE showed some slides about Palestine and she did not agree with the slides, and when I think she emailed MOE directly, but you know the response was just, oh, you know, this was already decided, all the best. You know, it's a very it's not a very proactive response lah. So she actually went to different MPs, and when she spoke to Workers' Party, they actually put in some effort to address her concerns, and that was precisely why she decided to run specifically with Workers' Party, right? So for me, I feel like bringing it back to her main intention, which was she was affected by her child, right? She cares a lot about her child. And in her video, she also said that she cares a lot about caregiving because she took care of her aged father. I do think in the community, this value of being responsible towards your family is still a very strong one. So I think Alia is quite the representation of that lah. So I know in the Muslim community there are a lot of professionals who, you know, maybe put more importance on career, but I do still like family values are still very important in the community.
So would you say Alia is very popular now?
Would I say that? I don't know. I'm not representative,
not
right?
sensing, not enough data.
Not enough data.
Yeah. 2 more days.
Yes.
2 more days, you will know. Yeah. But I wanted to also kind of chime in on that, because at first I think for a lot of people when they look at it, it's lama, religion again, you know. But actually, I think her main qualm is with the system not appreciating her point of view.
Right.
You know, so it's more about the academic system and the lack of consultation with the parents. That is her main qualm. Right. And I mean, I can kind of understand. And to be fair, I think Minister Chan Chun Sing has also come up during the saga period. I mean, we can call it a saga lah. During that period, he has also come up to try to address the situation. I'm not so sure whether is it to the satisfactory of the community, but at least, you know, through this GE, I have found some respect for that guy lah. right? Because he's not so like out to kill every idea. You know, he's more willing to explain, you know, so that's for the next hour. Later we'll talk a little bit about it. Yeah. Any other sharing on the lived experience and the aspirations of the community?
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned earlier, the Malays feel very much Singaporean, so we want to find our pride of place in Singapore. It's a very complex relationship because, you know, there's been a lot of historical legacy issues because of the history that we're in. There were some things which I think were very bad that happened in the past, right? So we had went through a period where an entire generation was not called up for national service because there was a distrust of the Malay communities in the event that there is a war with Malaysia, right? So it's, and those are the words, not my words. These are the words of, you know, the leaders of Singapore then, including a certain Lee Kuan Yew. Right, so he is saying that
there's only one, and his ghost is still around.
So we went through that time when there's institutionalized discrimination against the Malays. So we had large groups of Malay youths in the 70s that were not called up for national service, and then they got distracted and get into very bad things like drugs.
Yep.
And they were not called up for employment.
Lisa, why is it so important to be called up for national service? I think these days, if you're not called up, right, you're quite happy, you know?
No. I mean, at that point in time, okay, from the employer's perspective, when you're not called up, then the concern is, and these are very real, that, look, there must be a good reason why you're not called up. That means that, you know, we can't trust you to work with us. So I'm not saying it as a matter of judgment. These are actual facts that happened in the 70s. So we went through that, and there's been lots of, you know, discussions between the community and the leaders then. I don't think the issue is fully resolved. Along the way, you know, Malays are still excluded from certain sensitive positions. I don't think it's a level playing field yet. So, I'm old enough to have kids who went through national service. So when I went, none of my older boys went through national service in the army, right? So one went to the police force, 2 in civil defense. So I went to the police one, and you could tell 7 out of 10 kids are Malay kids in the entire cohort. I just did a very quick sensing. That can't be true unless there's some form of, that's not reflective of the natural distribution of Malays in the community. That's one. So when you went to the civil defense, it's even worse. 8 out of 10 kids are Malay kids. So why is that still happening? I mean, that's something I see for myself. So I can say it is what it is. And then there was this big debate about, whether Malays can be in the Navy. And again, Mas Agus was in that discussion, and he was saying we don't have halal, halal kitchen in the ships. And that's the reason why. I mean, of course, after that, we have the token Malay representation in the Air Force and in the Navy, but it's still not a level playing field. And that's one of the things that upsets the Malay community, especially the older ones, because there's no resolution of that. So we are not told there is now a level playing field. Oh, sometimes we were told there's a level playing field, but we know it's not the case. And so when you raise these issues, sometimes, you are seen to be, you're raising racial politics. But fundamentally, it's about equal rights. It's about equal rights, equal access to the same opportunities. And you are being denied all these things because of reasons which should not be good reasons, your ethnicity. So, it's a bit complex. So I am a lot more older than you. So having gone through this, it's been a journey. And then again, for the Malay community, unfortunately, we are overrepresented where we don't want to be overrepresented. Delinquency, I think, prisons, unfortunately. And we are underrepresented where we want to be overrepresented. So for instance, if you look at educational attainment or social economic charts, the truth is the Malay community tends to be in the lowest strata, right? So it is a very complex scenario for the community. I tend to think that the better solution is to look at not race-based policies, but if you want to help communities of people, look at lower income segments, because the issues faced by a Malay lower income family is similar to that of a Chinese or Indian lower income family. And those are the solutions that would help,
everybody.
Bring up everybody.
Yeah. To be fair, I think, I don't know why this is the case, but I feel like as a nation, we are very uncomfortable to talk about social class. right? Like it's not in the psyche of the people, right? Like we talk about race, talk about religion, you know, because I mean, every group when you run an organization, you always have to put some labels and categories, right? But for some reason, social class is not in the mass psyche of Singaporeans, right? Until the recent election where RDU brought it up, like essentially, right? So class politics is back in that sense. Yeah, so it's a thing. Yeah. That's just my observation.
It's definitely a thing because we live in a very stratified society. If you look at the Gini coefficient, we have one of the highest Gini coefficients in the world, right? And so the gaps between the haves and the haves not is expanding, and that is a policy consideration for so many things. So even for something as basic as GST, you know, some people are pushing for more equitable treatment when it comes to taxation. You know, the rich should be taxed more, and, you know, but that's another separate conversation. But the point is, those kind of conversations about leveling up the different stratas of society, I think the Malay community is definitely in that mix somewhere, and those kind of discussions would have a very direct impact on the Malay community. But I would prefer to see those as issues cutting across all Singaporeans. Yeah.
Fair. I mean,
I agree with Nizam's point about if you do not go to NS, you will be technically discriminated when it comes to applying for jobs.
even at your batch.
Yes, it is up till this day. I still have friends who, because they did not go to NS, and they have no idea why they were immediately what was that term where you not able to be enlisted? I can't remember what's the term, but I do have friends who is it's because of that they could not get jobs and they get the lower paying jobs. So it is still happening. So the question is why, right? To your question about what is the aspirations that we want to see for the Malay Muslim community, right? This is a question that I've been thinking about the past week because I think you mentioned this to me, right? Yesterday when I had one of the candidates on my show, he actually mentioned about where should we actually have discussions about sensitive topics like when we talk about the tudung issues, when we talk about the issues about like whatever we discussed just now. There is no such space that is held where we can actually discuss these things. You know, so why are there no such space for us to be discussing this? And then eventually it became a big mess to a point where it has to be discussed in the parliament. So to me, this is a question that right now I'm still thinking about it. You know? Like, we don't have a space to be discussing about this whole thing. Yeah. So to me, that is one of the aspirations that I hope it can be addressed, and I hope there will be people stepping up because I myself, I'm not. You mentioned I'm not the main representative for the community, right? But I hope there will be people who will be stepping up to hold these spaces where we can actually discuss these things instead of letting it spiral upwards. Suddenly, it becomes a topic in Parliament.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong if it goes to Parliament. So, look, if you can't have discussions anywhere else, and it's clearly in Parliament, which is supposed to be the supreme body of the land that discusses, you know, all these important issues affecting every citizen, you should be able to discuss that. So that's one of the issues with the tudung issue, right? So when Faisal Manap raised this in Parliament, he got scolded. He got scolded by Masagos. Why are you raising these sensitive issues in Parliament? And, you know, I think his point was, look, in a GRC system, I'm the minority and I'm supposed to reflect minority interests. If I can't raise these issues, then what's the point of having a minority on the GRC, right? But more fundamentally than that, I think we are all mature enough to have an open discussion. And it helps everybody to have those open discussions so that there's no misunderstanding. It's when you don't have the discussion, then you create all kinds of weird misperceptions or you go off on a tangent, and that causes friction.
Okay, fair. So maybe, so I actually watched the whole debate, by the way. So I'm one of those that will watch debates, you know, like for Parliament, right? So yes, the 600 people that watch live together, you know, half of them journalists, right? So say hi to all of you. But I thought that was a very interesting point because it keeps getting brought up, right? Although it's past 2017,
Yeah.
but this tudong debate keeps coming front and center, and my sense is that the community is more with Faisal on this situation, right? On this debate, right? And sometimes it feels like the Malay Muslim community is more supportive of the alternative voices, right? So is that a fair statement, or like what is the read on the land, because it's GE theme, you know? so like what is the read of?
I don't think it's necessarily a case that they support a person on this, but it's really they support the fact that a representative had the courage to raise this in Parliament, despite being shot arrows at by the other side. And it is an issue that impacts the community. I mean, ideally, if you have a minister in charge of Muslim affairs, you would expect the minister to raise it, right? I mean, because that's your portfolio.
Yep.
Muslim affairs, right? That is as a Muslim affairs you can get, right? But what the community has seen, unfortunately, is that the minister in charge of Muslim affairs is the one that's saying, don't raise this in Parliament.
Yep.
So it's a bit counterintuitive, right? I mean, you're supposed to be doing this, but you are saying don't raise it in Parliament. And at the same time, the issue is not resolved. And in truth, the issue is not yet resolved because the previous discussion was in relation to get concessions for nurses to wear tudungs. But it's not across the board. So I think there are still some segments, like within the armed forces or the uniform groups, that this is still not being allowed.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, like we do see recruitment posters, like in I think I saw one in Ireland where they have a hijab lady as the poster lady, and it's a recruitment towards their police force. So why don't we see such things for our uniform groups?
Yeah, fair. And I think there's a lot of research to show that if there is diversity in the police force, actually it's better for the overall society. You know, people feel safer.
Yes.
Right. Although that's not to say I think the Singapore police force is quite professional. In fact, very professional already. Right. So it's unlike other places lah. They don't like flex their power anyhow. Right. I feel like they're done very professionally. But there is a lot of social research to suggest that with a more inclusive police force or uniform group actually creates more safety for the overall community. Yeah. So any juicy take on like alternative party.
I don't think the community is like, we must go to the alternative party.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's exactly like what Nizam said. If the if the Minister of Muslim Affairs won't say it, probably they went to a lot of other Malay MPs first, right? And probably those issues were raised. So it could be that, let me just go to Faisal. And Faisal just happened to be the one raising it, and he happens to be from the alternative party. So I don't think there's a mindset in the community that, we must support or ask the alternative party or candidate to represent us. I don't think there's such a mindset.
So that it's not a die-hard fan.
No.
But the votes are up for grabs.
Yes,
right.
Of course.
It's fair, right?
And another thing is, like with this whole issue, right? When we talk about this, right? They always say that we need to have a closed door discussion before we can actually really propose something in Parliament, right? The problem was we don't even know who was in the closed door discussions. There was no transparency in this. And we don't even know whether the people who actually matters are the ones inside the closed door discussions.
Yeah.
So and on top of that, it took too long for the entire bill to be passed.
Yeah.
So it reflects badly on whoever who was the Minister of Muslim Affairs at that point of time. But to me, if you have that position, you need to have the responsibility to make sure that this happens fast and there is transparency in this, because it is a important matter to the community.
Yeah. And to be fair, I think closed door don't need to be too close, right? You know, like because if you frame the matter as this is a Malay Muslim community matter, then more people within the community should participate.
Yes.
If we're talking about like national security, then the bubble shrinks, right?
Yep.
Like there's a much smaller bunch of people that defines national security, and so So sometimes there's a bit of scoping on that front, right? So I think ultimately it's about being accountable to the people that vote you in, right? And we are a parliamentary democracy, right? So whatever people talk about it, you still have the vote. Right, so you can still practice your vote and practice your parliamentary power, and from that point of view, the vote's up for grabs, right? It's normal, right?
Yes,
like
it is.
and it's not a Malay Muslim unique situation. Everybody is trying to vote for the people that will speak on their behalf and speak on their interest. Right, in Parliament, and that's why we spend so many days. Although it's a very short election cycle, Singapore is unique to this, right?
Yes.
So, it is what it is, lah. Okay. Any last words to add? Within the theme of minority Muslim aspirations, or like in GE, something fun. I'll leave you all to.
Fun, must be fun.
No, don't need to be. It can be. Yeah.
I do have a point that I've been trying to make, which is, we talk a lot about, it does feel like the Minister for Muslim Affairs has a very heavy responsibility lah. So, and the fact is that there are not a lot of Malay MPs as well in Parliament, right? So, I think my take is that I wanted to expand that and ask if non-Malay politicians can represent the Malay community as well. And some examples I give, and I think this is justified, is because, diverse politicians can talk about, calling for Taipusam as a public holiday. Diverse politicians can talk about migrant workers' rights. You don't have to particularly be from the community to talk about to advance rights for the community. So I would like to see that happen, I think, and I think it has been happening. Like for example, the Karya that Nizam mentioned earlier, which is this social group for Muslims, right? These Karyas do work with their MPs in their estate, and they work with the town council so that to get permits for the void deck and all that. And these MPs are not necessarily Malay Muslim, right? So I think I guess going back to that conversation of race politics, right? I think we should veer away from that, and whatever needs that the Malay Muslim community has should just be seen as a Singaporean need lah, just as every other race, just as every other religion. So I think that's something that I hope to see a shift towards.
Fair. Not exclusive. The
Correct.
Malay Muslim MP then can talk about the Malay Muslim community needs, right? So Taipusam, I think, was brought up by James, right?
I think
Was he
so,
the first one? He had a long spiel about it, about the E.W. Barker card holiday back then, long time ago. I never fact check a story. I don't know. The story is very long already, but I do agree lah. We need more holidays. In fact, Singapore is
Absolutely.
more holiday. No, and it's not just for the fun of it lah, right? Because I do think Singaporeans are really working very, very hard. And we celebrate a lot of holidays, but we have the shortest holiday time, in the region. And if we want to move ourselves towards more and more of the thinking economy, where more and more things are AI and automated, and you want people to process, ideate, create, and all that, then you need to give people time to rest and think and tarik lah, right? So I think that's important. Yes. Any other thing?
Yeah, I think, the whole issue, there's so many, processes, frameworks in Singapore which are very race defined, right? GRC, self-help groups based on ethnic lines. I think we are mature enough as a society to move beyond this. I think the minorities would support that, right? We don't need to assert ourselves as Malays. We'd rather be, identifying our identities as Singaporeans. And so this whole artificial constructs, having your race on your IC, again, that's a point. And it becomes a fiction because, a Malay is this. Who gave you that, authority to recite that, a Malay includes Javanese, Boyanese, and, but not Arabs, or, those kind of things.
Oh, that's a long discussion.
You have cross-racial marriages. And I think it's time to stop thinking of us and putting us in buckets of race. I think it'll be better for Singapore as a whole.
And I would argue that I think that is slowly changing. Right, in this election, suddenly every language come out. Everybody is trying to call out to their, native energy. Like calling out to my people. So and, the Chinese experience, the no dialect, speak Chinese. During a period of time, right, and the whole resurgence of dialects is all a call to try to, for some reason, root yourself back into the community that you come from, right? And I think that diversity is, I at least for me, I slowly see it kind of happen, right? More room to go. Yes. Any last things?
I think last things is still about what I mentioned about the aspiration. We really need to be comfortable to have a proper space to be discussing about all these things, because if not, it just doesn't make sense for certain topics to really go up to Parliament.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't say Golden Nuggets podcast. Yeah.
Lepak conversations can.
Lepak conversations also can. Right?
Golden Nuggets is different.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I know it's not our usual topic. It's not the kind of topic that we usually touch on. But because this is unusual times, right? And this is a GE special, I think it is a great opportunity to then bring up some of these topics, right? So thank you. I honestly never felt so nervous. Hosting, very nervous. That there are a lot of.
Are you still feeling nervous?
Yeah, no, I'm okay. A little bit better now. I mean, but there are a lot of, and I think that's something to ponder, right? The fact that I feel nervous talking about this topic.
Yeah.
What I
We
mean?
appreciate you holding space. Yes. Thank you very much.
But
Very
yet you did it,
important.
so I think
Yes.
that's important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for
your time. Thank you. Yes. So ultimately, 2 days time, right? In 2 days time, your vote matters, right? So go and vote for your favorite candidate, someone that represents you, that can champion your cause and bring the nation to the next stage. So, okay. Thank you all. We will take 5 and we'll come back for the fun segment, right? Talk about all the gossip about election and then do a very abysmal prediction of what we think will happen. Predictions are horrible, right? Never tune one. But
Later you got goldfish, no?
Yes. Hey. Stay tuned. 5 more minutes, you will know. Meanwhile, take care. See you all. Bye-bye. we are back for the very, very, very last panel of this GE2025 special. I am very glad because it's long running and I'm
tiring,
sure.
I don't know how the candidate does.
Yeah. I don't know how they do it really. Then they rush here, they do the interview, then they
Yeah.
rush out back to the rally. Then in between they go and visit, run the house around. Now I know why they have to run. Last time I laugh at that.
So it's not just the intro to the video that you run.
No.
After that
I
actually
think
you walk.
they actually have to run.
Yeah.
But truth of the matter is, that each of them on average have to meet 20 over 1,000 people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, each candidate is
God.
tied to about 20 to 30,000
Okay.
Singaporeans, right? Voting.
That's when you withdraw the district.
Yeah.
I'm very interested. I'm very interested to know how many steps each of them.
Yeah,
got.
I'm sure.
That would be
Please,
interesting to
actually,
check.
it'll be fun, right?
Yeah.
For all the MPs, or the candidates, maybe you can screenshot your step counter, send it to us. We can cut it into a montage. I think that would be quite cool. But yes, in the last episode, I'm back with the crew that started it all, right? So Adrian, Anthony, Amir. I don't think we need to introduce ourselves anymore. You've seen us enough. But today's last panel will be a fun one. We'll do an abysmal take on trying
We're just
to
here to gossip, right?
predict. Yeah, we're just here to gossip.
Just here to
Okay.
gossip,
Really?
yes.
Whatever has been done, right? We have done all the topics, whether it's HDB, CPF, healthcare, looking at the overall manifesto. I think we published 4 podcasts over the live stream. So you can go and check it out. We've done our part for the country, right? And I think we're the only ones that spend the kind of effort to look at manifesto. Yeah.
And finally, for one episode, I don't have to do homework.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, because every episode you study, every episode you look, right? Every time Adrian says, this one, I don't know what to say. Yeah, I was like, it's okay, relax, we can do this. Right. Yeah, and then gotta read. Okay, so today's one will be a fun one. We're essentially gonna wrap up and gossip together with all of you. Oh, but yeah, once again, last reminder for our Instagram friends, the best experience is on YouTube. Okay, and this live stream is in collaboration with Community and Position 5. Okay, so if you would love to engage a professional team to do the live stream, you can look out for them. They made my life very easier. Right? So please check them out. Yes, so okay, we start with the fun one today as a wrap. The first thing that I thought was interesting to discuss would be like, how was the election this round for you? Right, overall sense of it, because I think when one of the live recently that we did, the recent ones, there was a little bit of a annoyance with the PAP changing back to the old ways of discussing, right? So because when it first started, it felt like, new the feeling is good,
For a while.
Yeah, for a while.
2 days.
There was no mudslinging and all this.
Yeah, we can discuss policy, the positioning was interesting, the space for discussion was quite a bit more. And it's not that the PAP is restricting us from talking. I have not received any email or anything, but at first the mudslinging not so serious, so feels like, everybody can talk right? There's more space to talk. And then I don't know which day starting, right? Then I feel like the ghost of Lee Kuan Yew is back, right?
I think it started with Ong Ye Kung, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
What-
the Sembawang West, that one of changing about
Police
Chee Soon
one, is it?
Juan
Yeah.
abandoning Bukit Batok. That's the start of it.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was the
okay.
very first one I also see.
Yeah. Intense. But okay, so what is your feel of the overall election this round?
I think. You don't go first or me? Sorry, he pointed at me, so I go first.
Because you're my natural line of sight, so I'll just look at you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the mudslinging and all that is a bit of a shame, right? Because, I mean, even pre-election, we had Sean come on the show.
Yeah.
And he's quite clear. I want to kind of break away from that old
He's quite
school
cool,
of politics.
Yeah, I would
he's
say.
quite cool. And he's from the governing party.
Yeah.
Right? So we are not just like we are not just pro-opposition, right? But then, one day, 2 days, it's like, I guess a leopard never changes its spots, right? So that's a bit interesting. What I was a bit disappointed in is I thought what happened well in last election during the pandemic was really the live debate, right? And this time we got some
Round
random.
tables that is
It's worse than any panel that I've been
Horrible.
on.
Horrible.
Right?
I
It's
cannot
like,
tahan
it's
it.
time.
Yeah.
You cannot talk to each other. It's like,
Yeah.
what's the point?
yeah.
No, you know what's the worst? The worst, right, is some of the professors, right, they mortgage their brand away in that panel, you know. Like they, that's okay, to be fair, I only stop at the first question, then I'm done.
Okay.
Right. So the CNA panel specifically, right? So the professor went around and asked all the parties, right, based on their manifesto, what is their plans, you know, like trade war, all these things. I was like, okay, hey, this is good, good discussion, right? You ask a professional, come in, they study this thing day in, day out, they have context of your policy, they ask you targeted question. Great.
Yeah.
By the time it reached Chee Hong Tat, the question was like, oh, if tomorrow you get to meet Trump. I was like, what the rubbish is this? What kind of stupid question is this? Like, you want to wayang, you also wayang better. Right, and it's doing the ministers a disservice. These people are very smart.
Yes.
Right? You give them good questions and someone they prepare. You give them good questions, they're prepared, they will give you good answers.
Make
right?
them look stupid only.
Yeah, you make them look like you're gonna mollycoddle them, you know, like oh yeah, you know, actually, you know,
Like you need to give them special treatment.
yeah, you don't need, it's stupid, right?
So and that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
If they are really better as you claim they are,
yeah,
put
show
them
them,
on even show.
Yeah.
Show, don't tell.
yeah,
Right.
show us that they're
Yeah.
better, right? And I mean, I genuinely think that was not helpful at all, right? So if they were thinking that by giving this a softball would help the minister, it's not helping them. They are very smart. They've gone through these things day in, day. In fact, they know the problems day in, day out. Right? I mean, you look at them, they all age like mad, right? Because you know, I may have some friends that work in the ministry, right? So the kind of schedules that these guys go through are not real, you know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So they know the topic inside out, right? And you give them some stupid question, you're just making them look stupid. So CNA, wake up, right? So sorry.
Hey, just because last day,
Yeah. Okay. But the other coverage that CNA did is very good, you know. But that particular debate, wow, cannot lah. Whoever's behind it. Yeah. What else?
I think
I must control myself.
must pull handbrake.
Yeah. Must put handbrake. Tarik a bit. Yes.
Yeah. So in my opinion, because I'm just starting out as an independent media company, right? I think it's interesting that we see a lot of the candidates, whether it's actually I see more of the opposition parties candidates, they are in all this independent media circuit, because to me, like this is one of the best and easiest way for them to actually get some traction, because if based on the previous years, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they definitely don't have any airtime.
Yes.
So just now we were talking about wow, we really see them run here and there. It's true. Like yesterday, I have one candidate, and he told me like, hey, after this, I immediately need to go here, and then I need to go here, and I'm like, wow, you have been doing this for the past like 9 days. And I'm like, wow.
No sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you see the rally all like more and more tarik. Oh,
Energy
shag,
level
very
dropping.
shag. Yeah. It's true, and I mean, just to add on there, right, I find a bit of a pity that the PAP machine does not allow more of them to come on different shows.
Yeah.
Right? In fact, just to give credit to Sean again, right? I mean, I got to know him because we were planning another episode with the ministry that he was working at, right? And he was supposedly the person to come and speak on behalf of the episode. That's okay, cool. You know, that I already know him, you know, at that point in time. So we had a little bit of a chat. And then one day suddenly they tell me, hey, oh sorry, we need to change the expert. I was like, hey, this is not how y'all work, man. What's going on? Then I saw the online, you know, some people say, oh, Sean quits, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, you're running, right? Then I texted him on LinkedIn. I was like, hey, if you are a candidate, would love to hold space for you to share who you are, what you're about. Because honestly, you know, if you think about it, you only have one shot.
Yep.
Right, like you are new candidate. That's why people are interested in you, right? The next round, right, you're like just one of the many, you know. And if you don't have a standout performance in Parliament, that's the end of your story. And then you become very easily disposable by the party, you know, whichever party you're on,
Yeah.
right? So So I thought it was very cool, like when he agreed to come on, but his comms team was very hard to deal with, you know. Like he never asked me to deal with his comms team, but we had a lot of back and forth. And comms team was like, can publish, I think the one can say lah, can publish after the election. Then I was like,
What's the point?
exactly. I tell you what's the point. Then he also laughed. He's like, yeah, lor. So then he was like, don't worry, let me manage my comms team. So ultimately, we came to a consensus. So like, okay, when can we publish? And then he will manage his comms team. And it's good, right? Put our position out there. People listen. And I mean, we reach out to a type of audience that are potentially the swing voters, right? So, you know, it's good for him. Right, and I have a lot of respect that he's willing to kind of like check his comms people at the door to do something that he that actually he believes in. And I hope more of the candidates can do it because they all have a very colourful CV. You know?
Yeah.
People with such a colourful CV cannot just have a humble background story. You know, they confirm have seen a lot, done a lot, tried a lot.
Yes.
You know, whichever background they come from.
Yeah.
But the comms is very bad. You know, it's all just humble background
And in a sense, if you are, especially if you're a new candidate, right, and
Yeah.
you reached out to a few of them, right, and you are stuck in the GRC, you really have no chance to shine,
Yeah.
right? Because there's an anchor minister there who is meant to lead the team. You are there to tell a bit of a story, but you are supporting it, right?
Yeah. And just to add on that, right, for every aspiring political candidate, right, you must understand that your political influence and your political power stems from your own influence, right? Not just your seat in parliament, but you need to be able to, you know, be synonymous with something or, you know, have the voice of the people. Then you have then they have a negotiating power on the table, you know. Right? It's like I mean, like the classic case is Tharman, right? Tharman can change shirt, people still vote for him, you know.
True.
Right? Because he is Tharman. So he has that type of like, you know, political influence, and any politician need to have that type of political capital in them to do well, whether or not you are whatever party you're at. So, you know, for future aspiring politicians, would love that more people actually take some risk lah, build your brand a bit, you know, especially in your first round.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think for politicians who stand under PAP, taking risks probably is not part of the DNA lah.
You think so?
I would think so lah. I would.
No,
think so.
I feel like it's more you are afraid of stepping out of line,
Yeah.
right? Because the whole process selects for people, like the whole tea party process, tea break.
Tea party a bit.
Tea session.
Yeah, tea session.
The whole tea session process is also meant to select for people who are willing to follow the party line.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of self-selection in the type of candidates.
Fair.
Even if they have very good experience in the past in their professional careers and other spheres and things like that.
Yeah, fair. And I think on the other side, I think the Workers' Party have done their media campaign very well.
They were well prepared.
Yeah, very well. You know,
Because they also have their own what they call it there's a show that they have.
Hammer show.
Hammer show. Right? Yeah. And when I was watching the Hammer show, I was like thinking like, wow, they keep it very casual. You know, it's like really podcast setting, right?
Yeah.
Keep it very casual, and then they talk about serious things in a fun way. So to me, like, wow, this is very smart, and this is also playing it safe. So I was wondering why no other parties are actually doing something similar.
Next round. I think what happened.
CNA got the talking point and a lot
That
of
is
the other.
still pretty much the same.
I mean, they try to replicate the podcast setting
Yeah.
instead of like a whole formal interview, right?
Yeah, fair.
But very much control lah.
Yeah, it's
I
still
would know lah.
Yeah. He will know. No, but I think beyond the Hammer show is the very slick but casually done intro videos.
Yeah,
that,
those are great.
that caught my
all that,
mind. You know,
yeah.
I was like, wow, this is so good lah, right? And I mean, there's some element of wayang inside lah. I know lah. I mean, we all do content. We know there's wayang in it.
Yeah.
But the way it's done is so natural.
Yeah.
Right. So it's either the candidates are really very good at wayanging, which I don't think so.
It's the marketing team, bro.
Yeah.
Powerful.
No, but marketing team
Marketing and comms.
need something to work with.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like you're a marketing professional, you know how to splice a story, but you must have something to splice with.
So you know what's that something?
What?
They were authentically passionate
Yeah.
about really running as a candidate.
Yeah. And okay, and here's the thing, right? I don't think the other political candidates are not authentically passionate, you know. But they are not allowed to like let that authenticity and passion come out. That's how I feel it. Right? Nobody suddenly wake up and say, nobody suddenly wake up and become a politician.
Yeah.
You know, like that one lady that went on the Steve Chia.
Got kicked into.
Yes, I got kicked into. I don't know. I cannot tahan that one. Right? It's okay. I mean, I don't know her background, you know, which I'm sure she is capable in her own light. To be fair, the PAP has a lot of capable candidates, but that thing of like, I never wanted to run. I got accidentally kicked into it. I was like,
I think that's perhaps the best example on why they don't go onto such show. Because on the other hand, you have the party doing those narrative. Oh, every one of our candidates are specially selected one. We go through a very lengthy process, and then you got this one lady. Oh, I got kicked inside. I cannot arrow.
Not very smart lah. But you know, I do hope more of these type of things will arise lah. Okay, but overall, I think it has shown the power of social media.
Yep.
It has shown the power of good storytelling. You know, and it has also shown that. Quite arguably, the mainstream media no longer have overall control on this thing anymore. In fact, I would argue the mainstream media is very slow, you know, relative to some of the digital media. I mean, you see Prof. Wale is amazing, right? Doing great job, right? He just like take the phone down there
That's right.
with Faisal, and then the uncle down there push the trolley, pass the slides like, Allah, uncle.
I saw that also. It's like the uncle actually want to go and talk.
Yeah. But that actually inspired me, you know. It feel like it inspired me and it reminded me how Chak TFC started. You know, so like random things put together and made me feel like okay, we should do some things that are lighter. You know, not everything needs to be like light cameras, every full set, everything.
Okay, next one on the road.
On the ground, right? Go and sit down there at Raffles Place. Come, tell us your struggles, right. So maybe we can do something like
and usually,
exactly.
Usually, these kind of street interviews tend to have the
views.
Yeah, the views.
Yeah.
Like one of the independent media company out there, which is shout out to Radical Kindness, Kevin. So that's what he did, and he have been getting a lot of views, and he have a lot of the younger voters as his audience. So to me, like that is first of all like because of this method, like doing the street interview, you definitely can get a lot more audience, and secondly because like some candidates actually understand and appreciate this demographic and appreciate this way of presenting themselves in front of audience, they can get the upper hand. So in 2 days' time, we will see whether it really works. And if it really works, I think the next GE, I think we will all be more overwhelmed.
Next GE, we must drive a van. Right? And I put at the top, hello, with the Yalaba guys did, right? It's crazy, the hard work that they do. Salute to them. Okay, next question. What are some key iconic moments for you? I know we already talked about a little bit of stuff, you know, but any other iconic moments?
I love the Andre Low leak.
Okay.
It's gossipy, but it's like, this is a guy who speaks to my heart. Because I can also be like that in terms like if I became a politician, right? I'm sorry, you need to delete a lot of episodes.
I got too much shit in my
everything.
Exactly. I got too much. Yeah.
I was thinking also got to change name. Just change name.
Yeah, some people asking me like, hey, are you gonna run? And it's like, run? Siao, right? I got so much digital footprint, feel like all sorts of stuff, right? Like I cannot do this if that is the no.
So like if this is the standard that we are going to hold people to, that's crazy.
Exactly.
These are your messages with your, even if they're not close friends, acquaintances.
Yeah.
Right? Like who cares?
Yeah. No, and I would challenge everyone to take out their phone, you know, to take a look. It confirm a lot of rubbish there, right? Like what is the F word? It's nothing, right? There's all sorts of stuff inside private conversation with your friends when you're flustered, when you're angry. Don't tell me the ministers are clean, you know, right? Like no one is clean. They're all
said it in Parliament.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, what's that one? Like what school is he come from? Right?
No, fucking populist.
Fucking populist. Yeah. I mean, he's no longer running lah. So.
Yeah, the difference is Andre Low took 24 hours to apologize.
Yeah.
Tan Chuan Jin took 106 days to apologize.
You know, but I think it also calls to show how the ruling party is feeling about Jalan Caillou, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's like you remember previously Raisa, right?
yeah.
Although, you know, it's also the same thing, right? Like they something they dig out from long time ago. Don't know what kind of shit come out, right? And this is the same. You know, for me, it is a clear sign that they are afraid. And of course, because Ng Chee Meng has a lot of things to be said about him. Right?
Just
And
today,
he's-
another new one.
Really? What
Yeah.
thing?
Someone mentioned about a session she was in when he was still an education minister.
Okay.
Wow, all the condescending statement that he said, and along the line, because after she claimed that she asked a question, she go back to sit down. He said something, and allegedly when minister talk to you, must stand up. He said to the
Oh.
audience, the person who put in the message.
I don't know. I welcome Mr. Ng Chee Meng to clarify, you know, but oh wow, really?
Oh yeah.
You know, and
Maybe that's why their comms department very strong.
very stressed also. Yeah. No, but it's true, right? There's so much to be said about it, and I don't know how to put it, but I think Jalan Caillou is something to watch. Right.
Definitely.
And the whole income alliance thing, the explanation is
Yeah.
not good enough.
But that's so it's
Yeah.
so weird, right? You have this in the sense that you have somebody from the incumbent party who is meant to be very strong, very highly credentialed, you know, has succeeded in the entire Singapore system, and you're up against this first timer,
A little
very
boy,
young,
you know.
very young
Yeah.
person.
I mean, he's our age.
He's
you
younger
know.
than me.
Yeah.
And younger than you, but yes.
Yeah.
But that is become a real competition,
Yeah.
right? Like how?
Yeah. David versus
I mean,
Goliath.
the way that they're defending him, they make it sound like he's the best of the best.
Yeah.
You know? And then you're scared of a 33-year-old man.
Yeah.
Who
Exactly.
rants a lot on Telegram.
Yeah. No, the fact is your record is problematic, right? And you lost in Sengkang, and Fernvale is extension of Sengkang.
Yes.
All the people that stay in Fernvale were like descendants of Sengkang residents.
Yeah, correct.
It's like how Hougang people end up populating, the descendants populate Sengkang. Sengkang people, their descendants populate Fernvale. There is a population type of thing there, and Jalan Caillou is mostly Fernvale plus some of the private residents, you know, in the Seletar area, and the private residency have a more generally will support PAP more, you know. But Fernvale, man, like you lost in Sengkang, you put a guy there. I mean, like
That also got me thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, PAP people, they are not stupid.
They're
very
not,
smart.
they're not.
But why are they still doing this? And don't they talk to each other
Yeah.
to get a sense of all this? Because they will mention about, Chan Chun Sing is the political maestro behind their campaigning and all that.
oh really?
But it also seems like they are not talking to each other, leh.
Ah,
Like when Oinko mentioned about, you just jump from one to another. Nobody tell him, then Kan Kim Yong leh, Tan Si Ling leh. I mean, these are really scratch head moments.
Yeah. Our brother Ong has taken over Vivian Balakrishnan. Vivian used to be the one that had all sorts of weird fumbles, you know. Then after that, this round he very quiet. Right.
It's the new generation. Show.
Yeah. No. And respect to the people that stayed quiet. Okay. Any other key iconic moments?
For me, key iconic moments is really when I was
Haslina.
No. Before this, I never. Of course, a lot of first-time candidates, right? When I watched Michael Teng's rally speech, I was like, "Wow, this guy is awesome, man!" And then I got to know that he's actually running for my
Tampines,
GRC, Tampines
your
GRC,
GRC,
right? So I'm like, "Wow, this is actually an interesting showdown, right?" Yeah. So that later when we talk about the
GRC, okay.
yeah.
We will have
That
our
one, yeah.
very horrible prediction, bound to fail one. Yeah. And on that note, actually, I found, I mean, okay, don't be too negative, lah. Right? We talk a little bit of the things that we quite find quite fun, right? I found Dr. Ong Lee Pin, is it? I think Lee Pin from Workers' Party also running for Tampines. He's the IMH director that came down and do this. I found him very cute because he's like this studious kid, right? That's trying to scold you, you know. You know, he's like this good boy that, you know, look like a good boy, you know, very studious.
The class monitor.
Yeah, like class monitor, school teacher, you know. He's like, hey, you cannot. I was like,
Stop running.
This is very cute. This is very adorable. I don't know where is this energy coming from, you know. And I think it goes to speak on a deeper situation, right? Where a lot of these people that are traditionally seen as PAP candidates, right, are no longer just in that same pool. right? And maybe some of these next generation thinkers and leaders have a different idea.
Yeah.
Right. But shout out to you. Very cute. It's a side hustle, as an MC. It's very side hustle, you can tell. So I was like, okay, very cute. Well, yeah. Any fun things from you? Iconic moments?
No. I found I think it's been very interesting. The entire period. But yeah, it's just maybe I'm in too much of Reddit and all that, right? But it just feels like, hey, why is the PAP just making mistake after mistake?
Yeah.
In the sense that, like you said, the stranger comment and a few of the other comments, like, come on, people are just gonna point it right back at you, and you are no longer the party where you are always whiter than white, right? In fact, there is a lot of unhappiness, a lot of people who are very happy to blame you.
Yeah.
And maybe it's time to reconsider how you position yourself.
Yeah. In fact, right, at this, since you brought this up, right, I want to commend Minister Chan Chun Sing. So his portfolio is Ministry of Education, right? Every party manifesto has something to whack the Ministry of Education. Smaller class size, no PSLE, whatever. Every and he has sought to try to explain his point of view without killing those policy suggestions, right? And I think, for me, that's firstly, it's quite gracious, and secondly, it's quite smart. Because a lot of these policies, right, they probably have some basis. And if you openly kill them, right, it makes it politically more expensive if in the future you want to resuscitate them, right? So imagine if he come out openly and whack 25 people class size, then,
which he does internally.
I know. But 2-3 years down, suddenly the research show that it's different, and then he come out and say, actually, we would like to promote.
So on class sizes specifically, right? So the research is clear. It's unequivocal, right? The problem is one of cost, the problem is one of we already don't have enough teachers, much like we don't have enough nurses, especially we don't have a lot of these professions. We don't have enough teachers. We are already having trouble holding on to teachers. So how can we make class sizes even smaller and need more teachers?
Okay, fair. That's a different discussion.
No, and I think that's the thing, right? Like, and that's kind of my big issue with the current ruling system. All policies have trade-offs. I think we are all smart enough to understand that.
Yes.
Right? But you cannot just come and tell me your policy is the best without justifying why, without justifying what trade-off you have made and why you think that's better.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's where a lot of that's also partially a weakness of the opposition manifesto, but they are the opposition, right? So they are there to raise new ideas, and we are there to contest the ideas.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to explain, you're just going to say, I'm the best, you're going to say, stand up when I'm talking to you, then sorry lah.
It just doesn't work, brother.
You're just communicating the wrong crowd. I think.
It's true. And I think I should say this. On the flip side, I'm a bit disappointed with Minister Ong Ye Kung, right? So, he has a great social media game.
Yeah.
Kudos on him.
I saw him watch exercise on Facebook.
Yeah, amazing.
Do exercise on Facebook.
Amazing. And I have heard many good things on the ground, right? When he helms the ministry moves, right? So it's not easy to do that, right?
Yeah.
These ministries are huge,
Yeah.
So, my friends and families, they work in different ministry, right? So they say that, when he was Minister of Education, you can feel that there was things were moving, making progress. So Guy is definitely good in certain things that he does, right? So I have some respect for him, but this round I'm a bit concerned because he was a bit hard with the STP healthcare plan, which is about the single payer healthcare, and for me it's like the converse of Chan Chun Sing lah. Right, Chan Chun Sing is like, you all say your thing lah, this is my thing, we can debate later, but this is my position. Whereas Mr. Ong is just like, you're wrong. And I'm like, oh my God, you're cornering yourself, So because this is only 9 days, after that you still got to do your job, right?
Which he did, because after he mentioned about Chee abandoning Bukit Batok, a few days later, let's talk about policy now. Let's not talk about anything else.
Let's move forward.
Why you own self shoot own self?
Yeah. So if he continues to be the Minister of Health, it further complicates his job because a lot of policies that actually has sound basis are now all shot down.
Yep.
Right? I mean, there's all policies have trade-offs and assumptions. We can always assess those things, but when you go around and like bazooka everyone, right, then you're gonna have a hard time to resuscitate some of these things.
But it's okay. I've thought about all of them already. Whatever 你讲过的我都想过了。
Okay,
You never thought about. I also think about.
okay. Yeah. No. And if he's not the next health minister, then he a bit like create problem for the next health minister, you know. But okay, anyway, yeah. So those were some of our key moments. Clearly, we are all still quite policy driven. We are very focused on the big things. We never thought about like the small little weird things that happen. Okay. So maybe next one. What is your favorite policy suggestion so far? I can start. Okay. So we had a lot of discussion about all the big policies. But actually there was one policy that I forgot to bring up, which is the tiered utility pricing. Okay. The Workers' Party has a tier to the utility pricing model. Okay. So I think the Ministry of Sustainability did talk about raising water tax and I think adjusting utility prices as a strategy to reduce consumption, right? So and that is true. Of course, you make it more expensive, people consume less. I think that's first principles, right? But in the Workers' Party manifesto, there is this thing where you tier the pricing, right? So it's actually the lower tier, price lower, and then the second tier is much higher, and then after that, I lived in KL for a long time. I cannot say I live there anymore because I plan to come back. It's happening very soon. But when I stayed there, right, there was tiered utility pricing.
Oh.
So the first 100, the first tier is very affordable. The second tier is a lot more expensive. Then the third tier is like mid of the pricing. It's very cute. I don't know why they do that. That means the first tier is the cheapest. The one tier above is very expensive. And then the tier further down is like kind of in between both of them. Right? So it's a very odd. Yeah, it's very odd because usually people tier it like just...
and then it gets more and more expensive.
It gets more and more expensive, right? But if you think about it, right, it created a mechanics in the people where we're like, oh, there's a lot of incentive to consume less. Because you want to stick in the first tier.
Yeah.
But if you don't care about it already, right, then I also don't want to overburden you. Right? Because if you crash a second tier, then you like, macam you already all the way, right? I'm not caring about this. Then we revert to mean. Something like that. So this is an interesting model that we could explore, in Singapore as we try to manage our green efforts, which I think that is our commitment as a nation. Unless any party says otherwise, as of now, everybody is committed to it. We want to do that, but we also want to manage the impact on our people, right? Because truth of the matter, when you raise all these levies, it's quite painful for some of our residents, right? So I thought, that was an interesting policy, but it's definitely a bit on the smaller side for our audience. That's why we didn't bring it up.
Yeah.
But when I was preparing today, I was like, okay, let's bring up some of the more interesting ones that we didn't talk about as major. So the tiered utility pricing, I thought was a good suggestion.
Including the crazy one.
Which one is the crazy one?
$10,000 worth of Bitcoin.
Don't do that.
I was working backwards. I got 4 kids. If they came into the market, then how much would the Bitcoin be worth?
Don't do that. Yeah. And just on the fun note, right, if Jeremy actually wins anywhere from like 35-40% of the votes, right, I think that's kudos to him.
Yes.
Really,
No, he's up now. I mean, he came down on our show, right? And I was going to say that I actually like his policies. Some of them. Right?
No, I mean, of course. I mean, you blast everything, sure some will hit.
Somewhere.
But for me, it's like, okay, guy's an independent candidate and he's running against the PAP. So if you look at the general divide, right, which is about 25% opposition, about 30% PAP diehard, and then the swing voters in the middle, if he can win 15% of the people, right, that's quite a testament to his ideas,
And actually, if Daryl, the other independent candidate at Jalan, because I think it's a three-cornered side, right? So if he, above another random party, can get more votes than the other random party, I think that's fantastic. Right? Literally one-man show.
And it's a testament that Singaporean voters are discerning. We do look at the person, we do look at the ideas, we do look at the policies. So
we do look at them being around our coffee shop, coming to shake our hand and talk to us.
Of course, that also, right? But don't just do TikTok videos lah, right? Let's do a bit more. Yeah. Any interesting policies?
I mean, for the question, I was actually going to mention Jeremy's policy, not so much Bitcoin, but the idea that, you know, we need to look at this as a chain, right? That's actually what I appreciate about it, because, you know, a lot of the policies you talk about, manifestos, we are really working within a bit of a four corners of the current system, right? We tweak here, we tweak there, maybe we take a bit more from reserves to pay or whatever, but we are not changing. Where he comes from is actually maybe we need to relook at our fundamental principles and assumptions and go, yeah, you know, do we really need HDB as a store of value, right? And then how that impacts CPF, how that impacts other things, and it all flows through lah. So to me, that was what I thought was quite interesting about the entire conversation with him, that it's quite different a mindset and quite different a construct in terms of how we want to build and think about a lot of elements of Singapore society.
Fair. No, and I would say I think the STP also has a very different construct. You know, although we didn't get enough time to really understand that, but yeah. When we look at everything, you start to realize that, okay, everybody is referencing PAP and then kind of like tweaking some of these things, right? Or at least looking at current systems, but STP is the only one with like a whole different worldview of what they're trying to do. So it's very interesting. Yeah, and I genuinely hope Paul gets into power.
Yes.
Yeah, nothing against Liang Yenhua.
Hey, keep your prediction later.
So, later. But yeah. Any Amir?
For me, I have to strongly agree with the Jeremy's baby bonus.
Hey, what the
Bitcoin
hell?
thing.
Everyone is Jeremy. Jeremy is my favorite this round.
This is why cost of living matters.
Okay.
All of us with kids going, wow, jalan.
Jalan, stress.
So for me, because I understand the Web3 blockchain space, right? And Bitcoin is the only asset from 2009 until today has really beat inflation. So why not? Right? $10,000 for each child into Bitcoin.
You need to listen to our CPF episode. Then you know why not.
Listen to our episode. But I think it's a testament to the struggles of the people.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And you really cannot tahan patchwork lah.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Exactly.
here little bit. Like
Voucher there.
it's not enough, right? It's structural. Some of these problems, they do need very serious solving. Okay. Any non-Jeremy?
Non-Jeremy policy.
Yeah.
Okay, I really like the universal single payer.
Single payer healthcare.
Yeah, because I personally has been navigating with the healthcare system because of a lot of old people issue.
Yeah.
And a lot of research work to do there. Check with your policy, check with the hospital, go and check into your CPF account, and then there's a deductible. Has it already finished deductible, or you got to wait until next year? I'm like, can I just die? I think it's easier that way.
No, and I think on that note, Paul Tambaya, which is the STP candidate, I think after Minister Ong attacked him, right? He came out. I think it's today morning, and he said one line. Under Minister Ong's watch, healthcare budget went from 9 billion to 23 billion, right? And we keep telling. And one of the main reasons we tell our people that we're adjusting for GST is because of healthcare costs, right? And if this thing continues to balloon, we cannot keep up with it, right? So of course, I have not done enough examination on what exactly is within this ballooning of costs and that whole thing. I'm not very sure, but I think it calls for a discussion. Right? It calls for a further look at the system. And I think Paul makes some very good points. It's worth thinking. You may not ultimately adopt the whole of his policy, but you kill the guy, then it's very hard to move forward already. So I do think there's some room to talk there. Yeah. Any other things? Enough of policy lah. We spent a lot of effort on policy.
Prediction.
No. Before prediction, one thing. What's the underdog? Who's the underdog that stood out to you?
Underdog.
Or if there are a few underdogs. Because actually, right, Harpreet was quite a disappointment to me. Right? Because I think he was like soaked as this like legendary Pokemon, right?
Another Chen Shou Mao.
Yeah, and then come on, like that. I mean, he did make a public commitment to step back from law if he were to be voted in, which that is a big thing because he is a big lawyer, right? And for him to do this kind of public pledges, is big lah. Because to be fair, not many people are making public pledge, right? So I think that is big. But other than that, some of the speeches are a bit like not sticking. I don't really feel as much.
I feel like he's not a rally speaker.
Yeah.
He's a cerebral speaker.
Yeah. You must
Right.
like connect, right?
Yeah.
That type like podcast,
Yeah.
right? That type.
He needs to come on the show.
Yeah. If you get in, come. Let's talk about the Pongo plan. There's no Pongo plan, I'll just say. Yeah. But I think the one that genuinely stood out to me was actually Andre, right? Fighting in Jalan Caillou, right? Because his first speech was damn fiery. He took out everything that is under the hood, right? NTUC, Alliance, and I'm not sure if he said about Accra, like everything all flip out, and I was like, wow.
He has years of practice on Telegram.
Bro.
Yeah. He has a lot of anger.
Yeah.
He just found the right words. For it.
Yeah. Bro is prepared. Bro is prepared.
He has kept receipts.
Yeah, he's kept receipts, and I think a lot of the receipts are true. They're real receipts, right? Especially the NTUC Income Alliance deal. I mean, everybody is trying to explain this out of the way. For me, the biggest annoyance that I have with the whole thing is, I think was one of the assistant SecGen in Parliament, I cannot remember who, he said that, we didn't know there was such a capital extraction thing. I was like, huh? What shit is this? It's either you are lying to me that you don't know, or you really don't know, and actually that's more scary.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know, I actually more afraid. If you're just politically out of the way, right?
And that's the thing. To me, the explanations have never been complete.
Yeah.
Right? No, because it could very well have been, sorry, we didn't know, because when we assess the acquisition, we assess it only on ABC. Right? Like in our scope as a regulator, we assess it only on a few aspects. We don't assess it the holistic. So that's it lah. We are not really not concerned about social issues. We are concerned about the insurer being able to survive. Right? And if they take out capital and they replace it with a guarantee by some big listed company, then that's okay. Right? But then if that's the explanation, that should be the full explanation. That should not be, we did not know about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's very unsettling.
Like there has to be a reason behind it. If there's no reason behind it, then like,
oh my
what are you
God.
doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? Right. So which is why I said that, you're probably not telling us the full. I take my words. I don't say you're lying. It's like, you're probably not telling us the full story. And if that's the case, I will feel more at ease than you actually you didn't know. And then, like that's the way out. And to be fair, once again, Ng Chee Meng is not popular in Sengkang. I mean, he lost previously. So, I think Andre really stood out. Like this guy is like David versus Goliath lah. And I actually DM him. Don't so sad, cannot. I DM him because these few days he feel very sad. Right? He started to have this like,
No, but he looks very soon when he first met him.
but he feels like a bit like affected. I DM him like, hey, don't feel so affected. You made a choice. You made a choice to do opposition politics, right? So this is bound to come. Just at who only, right? Then if you want to play this game, play properly lah, right? If not, then never mind. You can join PAP. PAP will welcome you as long as you're a good candidate, right? At least in their parameter lah, Okay, that's a different discussion. But another person that stood out was the lady in Pioneer SMC. I think it was Stephanie. Stephanie. She stand out, man, because sorry to say this, but when I first heard that the PSP was fielding a housewife, right? I was like, huh? Housewife? What's going on?
You never finished the headline.
Because that's all I know, right? Then after that, when I heard her at the debate, I was like, this is not a housewife. Girl is like power, Then after that, I heard her on the podcast, and then she was like, I took a step back because of my kids and all that. And I was like, oh, she's amazing. Yeah. She's very articulate, very clear on the issues. She knows what she stands for. And it's amazing. She was like a, underdog. I never thought she would be so interesting. Yeah, and I would argue that they may be underestimating her. Yeah.
When they may be underestimating all of PSP, you really don't hear them at all.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, fair. Who else underdog to you that you find interesting?
I can't remember the name, but I chanced upon a podcast by Singerplex. They brought on a couple of candidates from PAR.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I just happened to chance upon that and listen. And there was this, and actually both candidates, one is Dr. Michael Fang, and then another guy, I can't remember the name. They were quite articulate in their position and all that. You can disagree, but they are really able to hold themselves. Yeah, and communicate well. Why are they doing this? The angle, anecdotes, personal example. Wow, got storytelling one eh. It's just that we don't really get to hear them because they are such a small party.
Yeah, fair.
And sometimes, you know, they say one thing that becomes a headline, you don't hear the rest.
Yeah.
Right? Like Lim Tian is apparently an okay person in real life.
Yeah. I have no clue.
I have no clue, but you know, some of the ex-bosses have said, yeah, they used to be partners with him in a law firm. He's an okay guy. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes it's the framing. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at Dr. Chi, right?
Yeah.
Chi Soon Juan was framed as this like weirdo, you know,
Psychopath.
psychopath. You know, I mean, like, you know, some of the older guys will probably know better. But now you see,
Yeah.
he's like doing big rallies in CBD, and then there's a crowd,
Yes.
and then people are queuing to, you know, take photos with him and all that. I think social media really is changing the whole game.
Yeah. So to me, that is the best underdog story.
Really, Dr. Chi.
Yeah, because I think some of the independent media companies, they actually have been speaking to him and have been speaking to the residents of us. Is it Sembawang?
Sembawang West.
Right? Yeah. And a lot of the older generation are really saying that Dr. Chi have really improved, you know, as compared to back then. But it's because back then he was put in a different light by the media, right? But now with independent media, now with social media, you can't make the how it looks like very artificial. Really.
Yeah. So we're not saying whether who is right or wrong.
Yeah, of course.
But
of
it's
course.
just like instead of just one side framing the story, now there are many facets of the story that can be framed,
Yeah.
and then it creates a very different view of
Yeah.
some of these people. and
Especially through like Instagram shots, just have like that 15-30 second
Yeah,
impression,
yeah,
right? It's so much easier.
Yeah. It's true. Any underdog like stood out to you?
Sorry, very personal. The one that stood out to me badly is the entire team contesting in Tanjong Pagar because I never see you. Never hear from you. Why even bother? Right? Just let me have my public holiday. Thank you.
Yeah. No, and here's the
Correct. Why do I have to go there and vote?
yeah. No, and here's the thing, right? We remember at the start of the campaign, PAP was saying there's no safe seats.
Yeah.
But come on, who are you kidding?
You
Right?
should just taken Chandrasekhar and put somewhere else also.
Ang Mo Kio is a safe seat. Like Ang Mo Kio is so safe that the candidate don't even bother doing speeches. They only in the nomination day speech, only the new candidate Jasmine, right? Jasmine Lau, I think. Apparently, word on the street is she's very, very talented in what she's doing. Once again, very bad storytelling around her. I think they can do better. But she was the only one that did a speech other than our SM Lee.
Yep.
You know, then everybody else at the back was just very happy. I was like, of course, if I'm on his team, I'll be very happy. It's like Pao Chia, you know, this thing guaranteed through train program.
Yeah.
Right. And then,
So
yeah,
PAP could have run 5 rubbish bins with a lightning logo. Also, no problem.
not to that level. Not to that level. But I mean, there are some safe seats, right? Ang Mo Kio, Tanjong Pagar, you know, even Sembawang is a safe seat. You know,
Yeah.
Prime Minister Lawrence area, Marsiling UT will be a safe seat. I think they never thought Tampines would be a tough seat.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's for the discussion later.
Pasir Ris Changi will be a safe seat.
Yeah.
Any other things?
On the good side, I actually formed a very positive impression of Daryl. Not because I met him, but because we were trying to do one with him and Jeremy, right? And then I texted him going, hey, you know, we want to come on or not? Then he was like, no, sorry, I want to come on after the elections, but for now, my focus is on my residents, right? And I mean, Radin Mas is an old person, you know, district. I come on a podcast, no use. So, you know, I want to go there. I want to be at a hawker center. I want to shake my hands and all that. And I was like, oh, that's good thinking, right? He knows his target. He knows his audience. And I was like, great, right? 28-year-old young man, good for you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm in the neighboring GRC, which is safe, so I cannot vote. But yes, good for you.
Oh, it's priority,
I
right?
think it's Alex's cousin or something. Cannot remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. After this, we hope
After
to
this.
have. Actually, some of these candidates, I think we can get them out after the election to talk about other things and kind of get to know them a little bit better. Because you know, election is a long run. You know, you may not win this round, doesn't mean you will not win the next round.
Yes.
Right. So now for the very abysmal, but very important, you know, debate on what do we think will be the
From easiest to hardest.
outcome. Yeah. What's the easiest to you?
I also don't know.
Yeah.
I think tiny.
Actually, no. Actually, I'm curious. Why do you not have like polling results and sort of thing?
Cannot.
Like if
It's
you
illegal.
go to the US, like
It's illegal.
you get updates every day,
I know
right?
it's illegal.
Why is it illegal?
You're not supposed to poll. You're not supposed to do the exit poll. This is election laws here. Okay, you can table emotions.
Really tikam lah.
Yeah.
Do anybody quite not?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we take a jab at our feel on the ground, what we hear and all that. That's why it's abysmal. Please don't rely on us. We have no stats to back us up. It's here stories.
No data.
See rarely, feel. The only data we have is like live stream numbers. How many people? You know, that's very horrible.
And Reddit echo chamber.
Reddit echo chamber. Very abysmal attempt.
Okay, lie.
Okay, let's start. I think we start with Tampines. Okay,
the hardest.
Tampines GRC. Right. This one
Because
is.
you stay there.
I stay there. He also stay there.
Okay.
I mean, I don't stay there anymore, but you know,
You're voting
I'm
there.
voting there. He stays there. What's your sense on the ground?
Stands on the ground. I think
Is
that's
the sky blue?
nobody want to be told.
Nobody.
Okay, so I think I mentioned before the recording, right? Earlier I was like playing with my kids at the park, and then I do see some of the people, because there's WP, the very big poster, right? So there were a lot of people who walked past, and then their kids were like, "Mommy, WP." So I'm like, okay, this is interesting, you know, like. Yeah, young people. That means they are technically influenced by their parents, right? So it's interesting, and like just now we talked about the whole race issue, Faisal versus Masagos, this whole issue, right? But just now, from what I observe, it's not Malay people who are having this kind of reaction. So that to me is interesting.
Yeah.
So to me, if let's say we talk about the abysmal attempt to make this prediction, I think WP really have
I think so.
high chance.
I can second you on this abysmal attempt. You know, I can second you on this abysmal attempt. Okay, so this is my read on Tampines. Okay, Tampines is a relatively old estate. It's not it's not a new town, but it's not Toa Payoh or Bishan, right? So it is in its cycle of like 20-30 years life cycle of most of the flats are. The older flats are about there, right? So about 30 years plus. So the people in Tampines, my read on this situation is that the people that have done well for themselves in Tampines have all left Tampines. Okay, this is my read on the situation. Okay, so a lot of people that have done well for themselves, and are willing to have moved further into CBD or moved into other areas. Okay, this is my read. Okay, and the people that are remaining in Tampines, I mean, some people do love Tampines, I know, but I do think a lot of people that are remaining in Tampines are like the middle class or the middle lower class. They are not dying, but they are not thriving, right? So they are surviving. And this group, right, are the group that will tilt because they want change. This is my read, okay? And I know the 500 plus area is like a new BTO, everything.
600 plus.
600 plus area is all the new BTO. So, you know, the younger audience are up for grabs. They are not partisan, right? So, in my read on this thing, of course, tanpa the Malay issue between Faisal and Masagos, I think everything add together, it looks possible. And of course, it's not NSP, right? Like some sorry, not against NSP, but some of my friends were saying, NSP, I really cannot. But WP, right? Let's talk.
Yeah.
Right. So, and the slate, and even amongst the slate of WP, there are different qualities, right? I think East Coast, you can say, is probably not the strongest slate. Sorry, Jin Jong, you know, but it's just not the strongest slate in my point of view. Right, so the Tampines slate is quite good, right? You know, Dr. Ong, Faisal Manap is very popular.
Michael
Teng, Jackson. Apparently, Jackson is the one that film all their videos. Right, so he's the media guy around there. Okay. And then of course there's Eileen, right, which is great in her orating skills with Mandarin. Like she studied in PETA and is from MFA, right? So it's like hitting all the right notes on like, oh, these are quite good people, right? On a normal day, they will not join WP. You know, or maybe the WP profile has changed after Jamus.
And I think it's made worse by the fact that in PAP there's a few characters that people don't really resonate with, and a lot of them
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
The baby face lah. The what?
I'm not so sure about baby face.
I mean, that's just one minor
Yeah,
remark, but
yeah.
I think that David New also mentioned something which everyone is talking about right
Army
now.
general.
And I mean, exactly, that's another Army General statement. So,
Okay, let me be clear. Army generals, if you want more army generals to come in, please do not sabo them. Do a bit more homework, how to talk like a civilian, talk to a civilian crowd. You cannot ask them knock it down, like tarik a bit, your language got to change. Right?
need to decondition.
Yeah,
them,
decondition a bit. I understand. I mean, if we are in a particular space for a long time, we are used to the lingua franca
Yep.
in this environment. And it's nothing wrong. And the military is constructed in a certain way for its function, right? But now you want to come out and run for a civilian office, then must change a bit lah, right? To be fair, his predecessors also never helped him, right?
True
because
lah.
there are many other generals in front of him. But they're also good generals. They have turned around, and become very reliable and trusted, talented individials in the ministry. I mean, Chan Chun Sing is one of them.
I mean, like all these people were smart at 18, right?
Yeah, of
That's
course.
why they were selected.
Of course. So those there are good ones, but they need to coalesce together and try to improve it. Yeah. Any other add-on to Tampines? If not, we move on.
No,
I think we are the best read on
Yeah, that's why.
Tampines so
What am I
far.
gonna say? Nothing to say.
So I don't know.
He already wear blue color. It's very obvious already.
He's not voting. Yeah. So we don't know, but this is our first read. Pongo GRC. Let me take a jab at this. I think Pongo will stay at PAP. Okay, this is my read lah. Okay, so I think Sun Xueling is very, very, very popular. Okay, so she's the hard carry. Doesn't matter whether Gan Kin Yong or whoever else is there, But I think her speech is great. The people on the ground. I mean, I've texted some friends. They all love her, right? So my read is, I think she can.
Can carry it all.
She can carry it on. I think so. And of course, the newer parts of Pongo are very nice. The old parts of Pongo is shit. Right? The Pongo 21, the area, right? Shit. The whole LRT, very cramped, horrible. Whoever designed it is, horrible. Right? So that part was bad. As bad as Sengkang. I think that's also a big reason why Sengkang flipped. Right? Because the estate wasn't well built. And the older part of Pongo, which was actually built in the same time as Sengkang, was also not very well built.
Yep.
But the new part of Pongo is very nice. Very brief. Wow, this vibe is correct lah. Right? Like so I think the Pongo residents are very happy where they are. It will be a close fight, I think. But I think it will tilt.
Yeah, and there's a lot of initiatives at Pongo, right? With the digital district, with all of that. So,
So it's a hopeful energy, right? Like things will get better, So I think Pongo will stay white. In my point of view lah. Yeah. So as much as some people really want Hapri in, but
And to the disappointment of all the sim.
Yeah.
What
All
else is
the
in?
simp. Tarik please right? Stop doing this shit right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
undeserved.
that's how it is. Okay, next one. Jalan Caillou.
Ooh.
Jalan Caillou is.
I'll be surprised
David
if Ho Chi Minh
versus
can remain in that.
Really?
Really?
I'll be surprised if he loses. Like, come on, the odds are stacked against him.
Ho Chi Minh, right?
Because on nomination day, it's like, wow, why did this was winnable? Why did WP put somebody like that there? Right? So he was already heavy favourites. Something must have gone really, really wrong, or there is just so much anger that I think if Jalan Caillou flips, it just means that VAP's vote share will be extremely low.
Yeah.
Right, because to me this is an indictment of the system already. People are not against Ng Chee Meng because he is Ng Chee Meng. People are against Ng Chee Meng because he is part of the government that does not appear to be doing well. Or he represents a government that is not doing well. Right?
No, I think there's some Ng Chee Meng element to it. There is some Ng
So
Chee.
I mean, I don't know. Has he been walking the ground? Because you don't really see him doing that, right? You
I
see a
think
lot
he
of
has
residents, yeah.
tried. I'm not sure. Okay, so Jalan Caillou residents, please let us
Yeah.
know. Put in the comment section. But I mean, all videos look like he tried lah.
He tried lah.
Yeah.
He did walk around with a Jalan Caillou t-shirt, and then someone Photoshop with Jalan.
Caillou, alright, you're on the Reddit people
So
relax.
all these things, but
Yeah.
seriously, with the Tan Shui She, the
Oh
the,
my
the guy
God.
writing letter
Tan Shui
after
Che.
letter every single day, attacking him, and when people confronted or say something, oh no lah, the timeline is wrong. He actually came out with the timeline.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
I mean, okay. This is how I read Tan Shui Che. I don't know him personally. I know we did publish one, because which is the first one. After I got more and more, then never mind. Okay, but my read on Tan Shui Che is that he's one of those people that after I built this, right, you mess it up, you deserve to die. You know that type of energy, right? Because he built it, right? He built the crown jewel, then he passed to you. Hey, do shit to it. Anyhow manage it. Nobody even question how from 20% you can come to 6%, right?
And then after anyhow manage it, you say that it's structural, it's not your fault.
Yeah. It's like,
At least have a decency.
yeah, right. How about just accept that you're not doing it well, right? So I think he has a vengeance, He has something to prove, So that is not helping. And those guys, right, at that level, they have following, right? Not amongst the elites, right? I mean, not the elite, but in order to run an organization at that level, you have believers, people that are crowd around you. So when you say that this other guy is not good, right? Maybe these are Jalan Caillou residents, right?
Maybe got a few dozen of them,
Exactly,
ex-NTUC employees.
a few dozen of them and the Seletar area is enough to tilt the numbers, because I do think most of the voters are still in Fernvale, as the bulk. But if Fernvale reacts like Sengkang,
Yes.
if Fernvale reacts like Sengkang, which looks like it, and then the fight is at Seletar, the Seletar area, then with Tan Shui Che down there,
Grinding the axe.
you really don't know, what's the possibility.
And he had 9 days over the rally to really explain himself. Come up with a new explanation. There was one rally, he spent three minutes just giving a play-by-play explanation of someone fainted, doctor coming here, just narrative. Oh my God, you're running out of time there. You do this kind of thing.
But I mean, if they wanted to explain or if they could explain, they have done it in Parliament.
Yeah.
Right? They should have just kind of buried it and moved on.
Yeah.
Because you are not going to explain. You are refusing to explain.
Fair.
Why even bring up the issue?
I think they wanted to lah. Then your Tan Shui Che just, dig it up.
Okay. Time is running out. Bukit Panjang I say Paul Tambaya. Genuinely, I want him in.
Yes.
Right.
Same.
Nothing against what's the other guy?
Liang
Eng Hua.
Hua.
Nothing against Liang Eng Hua. Apparently, Liang Eng Hua is very popular on the ground. But I think if we're talking about building a parliament fit for the next decade, and we want the best people in, I think Dr. Paul is someone that should be in. And I think the PAP don't disagree with me. In fact, they wouldn't mind him in my he says, I mean, never cannot touch,
Yeah.
Same thing. It's like whole thing same, right? And
I like Forest Chin Sudran.
yeah, so exactly, right? So I think I hope he wins. I think there's a chance. Because the last round was 45%. I think if we take into account that enough people are in pain, because the expectation is that overall the vote share should come down. Since the read on the ground is that many people are in pain. Right? So if the overall vote share comes down, plus the rally a bit, then plus Chisunjuan's image change a bit, and then Paul gets a bit more, prominence, airtime. It could switch, it's just a few thousand votes. Right? And it's possible.
And he's gotten a lot of airtime. Been going to podcasts left, right, center.
It's true. I think I genuinely think all sides want him in. Like Dr. Paul Tambaya is one of those guys that he changed shirt, you also can let him in.
He has the same vibe as Taman.
Yes. They are good. It's like you wear whatever shirt, never mind. Independent, you also can go in.
Don't wear shirt, also go in.
Never mind. Never mind. That relax. But it's like this guy is good. I think everybody is unison.
Yes.
We want him. Ultimately, 2 days now, you will see. Okay, now for the big ones. Sembawang West SMC. Dr.
I think Sembawang and what's it called, Jalan Caillou, right? I think it will clearly define and show people who the younger generation are voting for, because I think the what do you call it, the lines around that SMC, right? It's really populated with the younger generation.
In Sembawang West.
Sembawang West, to me, I think it is lah, right? Because Sembawang West is Canberra side also, right?
Oh, okay. Canberra
Right?
side is quite young. Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
yeah.
so I think there's a lot of younger voters there.
But is
and
that side part of Sembawang West GRC? Sorry, SMC?
I think it is, right?
I'm not sure. I mean, we are really very busy.
Yes.
We have not studied to that level. That's why it's an abysmal prediction, you know. But
Yeah.
I-
But I hope so lah, because like I mentioned, you know, Sembawang, when we see his one of the data that we have to rely on, which is number of views of his videos and all, right, it's really going up.
yeah,
Yeah.
Dr. Chi is quite crazy lah.
He's a powerful
Right,
speaker.
yeah, he's a powerful speaker, and he has been on the grind. But I don't think he
For
will-
decades.
Yeah.
You know, I've been following him for like 20 over years.
Serious?
Serious. During the time of forums, I've already followed him.
Yeah.
But I would say my short answer to this is if this is Bukit Batok, hands down.
Yeah. Bukit Batok is right in.
Sembawang West, less than 1 month to prepare, shift everything over, start from the scratch. Even though you can cover all the blocks within what he said, 1 day or 2 days, not enough lah.
Very
One
hard,
time
very
only.
And I think Sembawang residents in general like PAP. Right, the MPs are doing a good job.
Actually, who's the MP?
Miss Mariam Jaafar.
Okay.
She's very popular.
Yeah.
I was there on a event with her, right? Oh, the residents are like, wow, because very popular, right? I mean, of course, Mr. Ong Yi Kang, they got 2 new SME bosses.
No, but that's not the SMC.
Yeah.
No, that's not the SMC,
Yeah.
but it used to be part of the GRC.
Yeah.
So they walk the ground together, now cannot carve out as a SMC, right? So the whole group is very popular there. So I don't think objectively Dr. Chi is gonna make it.
And I'm just wondering if the disappointment will also extend to the fact that he's already 50, mid-50s. Will this possibly be his last one?
No lah, if Tan Cheng Bock can do 85.
Active aging.
yeah. No, and if Dr. Paul Tambaya gets in, essentially STP now has a voice in Parliament.
Yes.
So he can further propagate, you know, the platform and all those things, right? So
Channel himself through Pong.
yeah. So it's a different thing altogether. Okay, for the big one, West Coast Jurong West GRC. This
The
is
big one that nobody talks about.
nobody talks about. This is the PSP
Yes.
A team, and I mean, if they don't get in and WP gets some seat in, that's the end of PSP. You know.
I'll be so sad.
Yeah.
I like Leong Mamai.
Yeah, tell me
It's
more.
great.
Tell me more.
I love it. I mean, a bit lack of polish, but he asked the right questions.
Yes.
Right? Maybe in the wrong way. Maybe in a way that is very easily rebuttable. That people ask, what's the point of the question?
A bit like Kopitiam Uncle.
A bit like
lah.
Kopitiam Uncle.
Yeah.
Trigger your inner Cantonese.
Yeah,
Yes,
but yes, but you know, I like it because he knows the troubles, right? That there are real issues that seems to be obfuscated by playing word games with what a resident means and what a citizen means and all of that. Then he's just so I love him. I wish he'll go back in.
Yeah.
I have no data to say that they'll win, but I hope he goes back in. And Hazel is great too.
Yeah.
Right,
Hazel is
he's like yin and yang. One very like fiery, and then another a lot calmer.
Yeah.
And she come and talk about, and then I think what kind of struck a note with me, I think over the period was she mentioned, sometimes she gets criticized for not mentioning women issues, and she's like, yeah, but I'm not just a woman, right? Like women can talk about more than women issues.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm here. I'm a leader of party. I'm here to represent the party.
Yes.
And I'm here to represent all Singaporeans. It's like fantastic.
I like you.
Yeah.
So,
But I agree with what you said about if let's say they are not in, maybe there's no more PSP,
Yeah.
Because like this is what I was told also, because it is highly likely Dr. Tan's final run, right? Final attempt,
Maybe
right?
you could be like Mahathir.
no, but to be fair, I think the party is more than Dr. Tai at this point in time. And that is a success in itself.
Correct, and that is a success of this current campaign also.
Yeah.
So to me, that is something interesting. But I do hear people saying that because Dr. Tan have been spearheading this, right? It could be the last time we may see them if they don't get in. Yeah. But I'm rooting for them.
Yeah. I think they have enough. I don't know.
It was so close last time.
It was so close last time, but Taman Jurong is not tested without Tharman. Right? Tharman is so popular.
Yeah.
But now without Tharman, does it reverse to mean?
Maybe.
So like if let's say we take an average something like East Coast GRC in the previous round was about, or like Marine Parade GRC in the previous round was about 60%.
Yeah.
Without SM Lee, without SM Go, and with was Workers' Party, but no strong candidates or no significantly strong candidates there, about 60%. So now if we take that formula to put it at, at Taman Jurong area, so I mean you assume that Tharman has a 15% premium lah. The A-listers have a 15% premium, right? Like if the A-lister come, 15% extra, more people will vote. So if Tharman is gone, the baseline is now 60%, then there is competition. Right? Then there is a possibility to fight. But if that is not the case, then that may be the end. Right?
So what's your prediction? Final call.
I actually think very hard.
Close fight. Do you think it's a close fight?
I don't think it's a close fight. I think
they're confident. That's why the media never did anything.
Exactly.
Right? Otherwise, they'll come out and whack.
Exactly. So unless the silent majority in Jurong West, West Coast, is ready to flip. Right. That means maybe Dr. Tan in his Kereta Ayer or what was Ayer Raja, area. Really wow, this guy has been around. But like, really? I don't know. Really still has the influence. I genuinely do not think so. And it's quite easy to tell from where Assembly, PM, where they go.
They're all in the east tonight.
Yeah, they're all there, right? So you know where's the hotly contested seat, right? So I think.
Or where they think maybe everybody is so upset with them.
I tell you, if that actually happens, right, this will be a tsunami.
Yeah.
Right. That means if PSP manage to win West Coast, Jurong West, right?
Chiming also out.
Yeah, Chiming is out. Dr. Chi is in. The whole thing is flipped.
Yes. Yep.
Right. Which I think not there yet. I don't think the Singaporeans are.
5 years time?
In fact, 5 years time, I think it will be easier. Yeah, because this is a moment in time. Right. And 5 years time, I think PAP will get their act together. Right. Because to be fair, there's a lot of things that is true. It's not that they want the problems.
Yeah.
Right. But you can also argue that they have not solved the problem to sufficiently for the
disagree with that.
Really?
I think it's cultural. They have a mindset already.
Okay.
So that is going to be difficult to change.
Okay, fair. That one I can agree.
Yeah.
Right. So that means it's not just the situation or policy anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because to be fair, although we talk about policy a lot, ultimately voting is still a little bit on the vibe.
It's
right?
emotional.
Right. Emotional. Right. And I can agree with you on that because like we talked about Prime Minister Lawrence, when he first started, the campaign was great. Suddenly the ghost of Lee Kuan Yew comes back. Right? And then every one of them is doing it. And I hate it. Right? I hate it. Like Miss Mariam Jaffar, she's this cute little lady. I mean, I maybe people will take it in a different way, but she's so approachable. Yes, she's shouting on the podium. I don't know why. She's such a caring, like her energy when you meet her, right? She's very caring, very lovely. Then suddenly, like I feel like got a small little Lee Kuan Yew at the back, like shouting. So I hope we can move away from that culture. But yeah, it is what it is lah.
Yeah.
Okay. Ultimately, in 2 days' time, you get to vote, and then we will not be doing any coverage because everybody will be doing coverage. We're gonna take a break, right? So next week, TFC will not be posting anything. Maybe some little things just to keep the algo going, but no podcast. We're gonna take a break. The whole team needs a break. Thank you all for supporting us, and I want to take the opportunity to also thank the team for working overtime. Right. So. We are a small team. Thank you for your love. Like, share, subscribe. Continue to support us. In the future, I think we'll bring on some other candidates and talk about other topics. So meanwhile, stay tuned. Take care. Go and vote. Vote for the candidate that you support.
Illegal not to vote. Go and vote.
Yeah. Go and vote. And vote for the candidate that you want. Vote for the future of Singapore that you want.
Vote then go JB.
Okay. Meanwhile, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.